Hey everybody, so we're back, and now we're gonna discuss Dramione specifically, right? And as we said in the previous video, Dramione is our favorite. So if you're looking for people who are gonna say, "Oh no, it's terrible" and all of that, you've come to the wrong place.
We are not objective in any way.
Yes, and don't expect us to be. However, we will take into account some criticism that's been laid against Dramione, and we will prove that it's ridiculous. No, we'll actually discuss it properly. One of the common criticisms laid against Dramione is that Draco and Hermione getting together would result in a toxic relationship.
However, they're wrong.
Yes. No, but do you understand why people might think it's toxic?
Yeah, I do. Because it's really like any other enemies to lovers trope or storyline. Any relationship essentially can be toxic. What people forget is that you can have exactly the same traits as the person, but the relationship still has room for toxicity. It really depends on how the writer explores their interaction together, whether they respect each other, whether there's real love there, or is it just crazy possessiveness and other things.
And I think the perfect example would actually be the canon couple, Ron and Hermione. I think a lot of people assume that just because the relationship is canon...
We're already getting dislikes as
it's worth it. No, just because the relationship is canon and just because Ron and Hermione are best friends doesn't mean that it cannot be toxic. One would argue that the fact that Ron relies on Hermione so much and the fact that he doesn't share any of the same interests would result in a very toxic relationship. And in fact, if you read the books or if you watch the movies, I genuinely don't see how that relationship can work. They have nothing in common.
Yeah, and also add into the fact that Hermione has this people pleaser aspect, and because he is her best friend, she will do her best to try and relate with him and accept or basically embody his interests. And that's why I think normally it can go into that toxic relationship for me, as far as what I've read already. Definitely Ron and Hermione would seem more, or has more potential for toxicity. But at the same time, I'm going to go against my beliefs.
How could you?
It is possible for Draco to be toxic for Hermione and vice versa.
But here's why it isn't.
Let's actually help along the other people who hate Hermione.
So you're gonna be devil's advocate in this video? Okay.
And I really feel like a devil right now as I'm saying or thinking these words. But
how could you betray people? How can you betray Valancy Jane 74? Shout out.
Yeah. This is a temporary belief.
Yeah.
I am just trying to relate to the others who do have solid opinions about it.
Okay, I'll let you continue.
So I do get that, because there are instances where it does go into the toxic side of the relationship, and usually these are the darker stories that I don't really read. But it does beg the question whether is Draco really good for Hermione. So I see that side. If you're going to stick with his mindset in the canon and that he doesn't get redeemed at all, of course, then that's toxic. Or if he tries to control or continues to mock Hermione for being who she is, then yes, that's another example of toxic relationship. And then in the other side, Hermione could also be toxic or contribute some toxicity into it by changing him completely and making him into this Gryffindor concept that she really basically pushes for in a lot of the Ron Hermione pairings.
Yes, I think the danger with the character of Hermione is, especially when it comes to fan fiction, she's not perfect, and a lot of people seem to misunderstand that. I think a lot of people think, she is intelligent, she is kind and all of that, so she must be perfect. But the thing is, she's not actually perfect. She's shown herself to be very judgmental, self-righteous, and stubborn. And those are all potentially toxic traits in a relationship. And, when we criticize the pairing of Ron and Hermione, we don't mean that Ron is bad for Hermione, but Hermione is also bad for Ron.
Yeah.
That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. We also think that for Ron, this relationship just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because it does. Of course, I'm not saying that this is what a lot of the controversy where it enters in. Like, we're by no means saying that Ron is a stupid character or that he's cowardly or anything. It really just has to do with their characters don't really jive as a couple.
Yes.
As friends, yes, they push themselves.
As siblings.
Yeah. They do push each other to be better characters. Among the three of them, each of them have these great qualities that when it's complemented together, they're great. And that's why it's a great friendship. It's just that for Ron, he would always have to keep up with Hermione, and at the same time, she'd have to, in a way, diminish how she thinks to try to adjust to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really just their friendship dynamic.
Yes. I don't believe that the thing that Hermione needs to work on is her intelligence. Like, I don't think she has to diminish her achievements or anything like that. I think the thing that she has to work on is her judgmental attitude. And if it's in regards to her judgmental attitude, then there's only one man who would be perfect for that. So, another reason why I feel Dramione works is the old-fashioned trope, opposites attract, right? Now, before you go into the comments, or before you message me privately, I know some friends who will do that. Before you do that, I just want to specify, this works in certain cases. So you can argue, Ron and Hermione, that's opposites attract. They're exact polar opposites. But that's the problem. So Draco and Hermione are opposites, but they are opposites in complementary ways. They're opposite in traits that complement each other. Another example, if we're gonna go outside of the Dramione example, and yes, that's how you pronounce it. If we're going outside of that, Harmony, like Harry and Hermione, they're kind of boring as a couple, but their traits are opposite in complementary ways. Yeah. But Ron and Hermione, their traits are just opposite, period. And it doesn't help either of them to be opposite in every single way.
I'm just realizing that we're gonna get several dislikes for insulting Ron.
I didn't insult Ron. I didn't insult Ron.
All the pairings, like, you just stressed that boring, right? Boring.
No, Harmony is boring, but in a nice, fluffy way. So if you want something with no angst and everything is fluffy rainbows, okay, that one will get hate. You know
what the angst would be?
Yeah.
Ginny inside
Oh
that.
my god. Ginny, come on, just give up. I think Ginny knew that if Hermione ever decided that she wanted Harry, it was done. Yeah. She would be done. Okay, there's the hate. Now it's coming.
Yeah, we'll just cut it.
No, I won't. I'm editing this, so I'm gonna keep this in because I believe in this. Alright, so opposites attract only work if they're opposites in the complementary way. And Dramione, they're opposites in complementary ways. Let me give an exact example. So, like I said before, Hermione is very judgmental. Draco is very prejudiced. Can you think of a literary example of someone with prejudice and someone
with
else?
Pride?
Yeah, judgment or pride. Can you? Is there? Oh my god! If only we could make some sense and sensibility out of this.
Jane, can I call you Jane?
Can I call you Lizzie? No, but Pride and Prejudice is the perfect example for this. I know it's overused, okay, but it works. That's why it's overused. It is a flawless masterpiece. Pride and Prejudice is a perfect example of opposites attract, and they work in complementary ways. Now, Draco is a Slytherin. Slytherins have this stigma against them that they are evil for some reason. I disagree, obviously.
Okay, as we're saying this, he's already sweating profusely from the attraction because he loves evil people.
I don't love evil people. I love real people.
Okay.
Because it's unrealistic. You know what's an unrealistic main character? Someone who's always good all the time. Oh, I just want to help people. You know, that's ridiculous. Who believes that? I don't believe that.
Are we gonna talk about Aragon again?
He was so...
So to add to that, Draco is opposite to Hermione because of their whole upbringing. It's completely different.
Exactly.
I mean, he was taught to hate muggles. And then here you have this brilliant, the
brightest witch of her age.
Wow, I just felt that line.
the most... Did you say the brilliantest?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say the most brilliant witch of her age.
You were so close.
It doesn't have the same tone.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the brightest witch of her age, and then she turns out to have Muggle parents. So if that isn't the perfect angst for you, I don't know what more you could have asked for Hermione. Another thing is that they have the same passions in general.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from their love of books, they are just intellectually on par with each other, and they do love arguing.
Yes.
Because that's what Hermione really was looking for, even
the debate, the challenge.
Yeah, in the movies, you see her constantly arguing with Harry and Ron. And the thing is, they just agree with her or just say, "Oh, come on, please."
Yeah.
So with Draco, he's going to constantly challenge her in the best way. And that's why, for me, that had more room for development and why it is the best pairing in the world right now for me.
Also, I want to make an addition here.
Okay.
This will be a subcategory of this section, but for feminism, Dramione is great.
Okay, please explain.
In Dramione stories, it is always emphasized that Hermione was better in school. It is always emphasized that she will always be the better student, the better wizard, right? And she isn't diminished. Her intellectual capabilities aren't diminished in order to raise Draco higher, because Draco is already understood what he has going for him. So they can be truly equal because they don't have to compete in the exact same categories in order to be considered a good character. When Harry, Hermione, and Ron were going to Hogwarts together and all of that, there was this competitive sense to it. And in a way, Hermione had to diminish herself in order to raise Harry, the boy who lived, even higher. A great example can be in the first book when Harry is trying to chase the golden snitch. By the way, I still think it's ridiculous that he was made Seeker in his first year, but let's not... That's a different topic. But he was trying to chase the snitch, right? And Hermione was the one who was trying to save his life when his broom was being cursed. Well, technically, Snape was trying to save his life, but...
I do not remember
again.
a lot of the story.
But again, But the point is, Hermione, for the longest time, I felt that she became an unsung hero of sorts. Yes, she is considered by everyone to be the brightest witch of her age, but why can't she just be the greatest witch or wizard, period? Why does it have to be qualified in such a way that suggests that, yes, she's great for a witch?
Yeah. And I think that was also another opportunity, and what all the fanfic writers have explored, wherein Hermione tends to have this insecurity because she thinks it's just because of the three of them as the golden trio, and then she kind of doubts her abilities because she's pegged into this one box. So whereas when you pair her with Draco, it's really thrilling to see because someone challenges her and is confused as to why she puts herself down, because essentially both of them are really confident in their abilities. That's not a question. We know that Hermione is stubborn and overconfident, But when she is surrounded by certain people, she does try to fit in. I mean, it's just a human aspect of you trying to make yourself, or at least adjust to your environment. So that's why with Draco, I think there's that potential there where there's this great camaraderie and great competitiveness, because
Yes.
you always have to have that in a relationship.
You do.
But at the same time, she won't need to feel insecure because she can just show all of her abilities, and then there will be someone who will either applaud her, tease her about it, or meet the same expectations.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, for feminism's sake,
Yeah.
Dramione has to happen. The final reason why we believe Dramione is a fantastic ship is because it is steamy. Right?
I'm not gonna add
What?
more to that.
Really?
He encapsulated it.
Someone's
That's it.
rude. Okay,
No,
yeah.
I'm actually saying that's it.
The fact that it's typically enemies to lovers, their shared history, their inherent prejudices against each other, or their inherent pride, pride and prejudice, all of that taken into account, the chemistry just works, and it results in just amazing romantic tension between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know. Also, I feel like they would create great kids. That's also worth taking into account, you know? But plus, okay, if you really hate Lucius Malfoy or Narcissa Malfoy, think of it like this. Imagine them having a half-blood
Yeah.
a half-blood child,
Exactly.
right? A grandchild, you know?
Yeah.
A muggle as their daughter-in-law. That would just be the greatest, you know, irony. It's just hilarious. I am so sad that Rowling didn't think of that. It's not like, well, then again, it's not like she thought outside of the box for any of the other pairings.
Oh my god, can you stop getting us hate?
You know what? She gets hate herself. So
We
I don't
just
think
started
I
this whole
don't-
YouTube
I,
series.
I
and
don't
now
think
you're already
I don't
there.
think anyone is gonna
Oh
defend
my goodness.
Rowling. So I'm okay. I'm fine. All
No,
right.
but really, all of this is again subjective, and it is
Yes.
our opinions. The very reason that we love the whole Dramione aspect,
Dramione, yes.
Dramione,
Dramione. Yes.
Dramoni,
Dramione.
whichever you wanna use.
It's not
you know?
your way.
But I'm sorry, who said Draco the other day?
I didn't say Draco.
Well, I mean, obviously, enemies to lovers isn't that the greatest romances in general? If you want some angst with the fluff, all of them mixed into one, or if you just want pure fluff, there's still great Dramiones out there where it's just pure fluff. And I would definitely suggest it, but at the same time, they still keep that backstory because it makes it so interesting.
But if you don't like that fluffy, if you don't want just non-stop
Sorry, yeah, this is
fluffiness.
complete opposite scales.
Oh my god! Why bother reading? Like,
I'm so offended.
grow up. That's what I'm
I
saying.
want happiness even for the characters that I read.
And I want happiness too. Happiness is
No,
only real when it
yeah.
is shared.
No.
That's a famous
No,
quote
you know
from
what?
Into the
For
Wild.
you, happiness is only real when they've earned it. Meaning they go through broken
Exactly.
glass, there's gunfire shooting at
It's
them.
more
like,
realistic.
oh my goodness.
It's more realistic.
Yeah, this is... How single is he? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Just because. Thanks for watching, the 7 people who are still here. We hope that we haven't offended anyone, but, you know,
This is just purely our opinions.
yes. And also, if you hate it, please comment, because that's great engagement, you know?
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, so once again, thanks for watching, and goodbye.